Hi everyone, I am GCROCK and welcome to another video. We are talking Seasons 2.0 again today, and the reason for that is because yesterday, Massive, were kind of forced to put out further communication as to what Seasons 2.0 is going to be. They announced it last week at Ubisoft Forward, and since then, there has been so much criticism, so much negative feedback about it, and people just not really understanding it, I want to say. But not just that, I released a video just giving my opinion on it, and people are really attacking anybody that's quite positive about this also. It's exhausting. It's just proper exhausting. If you don't agree with our opinion, that is absolutely fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, obviously, but don't attack people that just are positive about this. Like, just as much as you may hate this, people like it as well. It's quite mixed with Seasons 2.0, and one thing's for sure is none of us really know what it is going to be. But this further communication is giving us a little bit more information, and for me, it's a bit of reassurance that your work so far has not been wasted. You know, I said it last week in my video, this is all about the seasonal model. It's just taking the current seasonal model and doing something with it. In my opinion, this current seasonal model has been bad since day one. Like, it's had 2 changes in the last 4 years, and those changes were making the manhunts split in half because they were just too long and boring, and making the leagues easier to do. Now, that's a sign of some bad content right there, when the only changes you have done is made it easier and made it shorter. Seasons 2.0, for me, even from last week's communication, was all about taking the seasons and just making them more immersive, more rewarding, and more fun to play. I've been speaking to a lot of people recently, judging by my YouTube stats, people come back to the game at the start of every season, and then within 1 week or 2 weeks, it dies off and you're left with a hardcore player base. For me, Seasons 2.0 is all about just trying to extend that a little bit, giving you more to do throughout the whole season with a very good climax. And that's what they're doing. Now, this communication they released did give us some more information. We are going to go through this today. I'm going to be giving my opinions again. But please don't attack that. I don't appreciate my name being brought up and called out by other creators. Like, it's just my opinion that I'm entitled to. Of course, you could disagree with it. Disagree with it in an adult way. Discuss it in an adult way. Don't attack me. And stop attacking other people that are positive about this as well, you know? Anyway, let's move on. So here it is. This is the document that they put out yesterday through their social feeds. I will share the link down below so you can go and read it yourself if you want to. I'm going to go through this now and give you my opinions as we go anyway. So they said, agents, we've heard your concerns regarding the introduction of seasonal characters in the Division 2 with Seasons 2.0 later this year. We want to clarify now how seasonal characters will impact your existing main characters and answer a few questions about Seasons 2.0. The main idea behind Seasons 2.0 is to break away from the current repetitive seasonal model by transforming the entire experience. With your main characters, we need to consider various progressions and power levels, making it nearly impossible to create a well-balanced experience that's enjoyable for all. Starting all players at level 1 ensures that we have a clear understanding of where they are in their progression journey when faced with specific challenges. To put it simply, in order to craft challenges with precision, we need a fresh start. Now, love it or hate it, the Division 2 it's kind of been shit on over the last few years, let's be honest. Ubisoft has pulled that development team from pillar to post. They've had other projects. They've had to make Avatar, they've had to make Star Wars, we've had a skeleton team at times, and Division 2 was once shelved, you know? It was shelved. They've kept this game going, and it seems now it's time to come back and put some more effort into it, is what I'm reading here. And what they are kind of encountering is a game that's been left for years with just a power creep, and we've got to a point where how can we give this game more of a challenge for the current players but also new players? Like, where do we go with this? It's a game that's been shelved. It's not really been focused on solely. We've kind of like just botched our way through the last few years, if you want to say that. We want to get serious about this now, and this is a serious idea as to how they can fix the current problems with the game. And they've been doing a lot of fundamental changes at ground level, and Seasons is one of them. It says in that statement alone, you know, this is just the seasonal activities. They want to make them better. And I completely agree with what they're saying there. The current seasonal model, it sucks since day one, to be honest with you. And I'm glad that they're trying to reinvent this. So let's carry on. Additionally, Season Seasonal resets bring another layer of excitement since modifiers are phased out at the end of each season, giving us the freedom to impact gameplay far beyond what permanent mechanics would allow. We omitted one important detail from the Year 6 introduction. When the revamped seasonal progression, you will have the opportunity to bring your main character into the last 2 weeks of each season, known as the intermission. The intermission allows you to revisit your main character with new content and seasonal progression using your current arsenal for experimentation, strategy, and dominance. At the start of the intermission, all rewards earned with the seasonal character, including shade levels, proficiency ranks, stash items, and collectibles, will be transferred to your main character. This transfer ensures that your main character will be more powerful than ever and prepared to tackle the season's climax, normal or master difficulty. Should you choose to experience the remainder of the season with your main agent, and then get ready to see your favorites in a whole new way. So what I'm taking from here is, again, they're just looking to make this more immersive every season. They don't want the same thing every season. It's just kind of like, I've seen loads of complaints about this. It's just no change. You're doing the same things all the time. It's the reason why people will come back to the game just for the start of the new season, see what's sort of new, realize there's nothing new, and just go after a week or two. So hopefully with this and a new way of playing with these modifiers, which no one knows what they are yet, it'll give you a fresh way of playing without actually giving you fresh content. I know that's a big complaint that we will get to in this video, but it's got to freshen up the current content for you. And I think that's a good thing that we really need to just take points of, you know. New content's great, but if you can refresh the current content as well and make that even more fun, then that means when we don't get this new content all the time as often as we want it, at least the current content that we're playing is still immersive and fun, and it's not the same old all of the time. In terms of the intermission and adding your main character to the last 2 weeks of the season, I do believe this wasn't planned. I think they brought this in after the, I'm going to say, outrage last week and all that feedback and the negative take on Seasons 2.0 and seasonal characters, but I do think it's a good change. At least that means at the end of every season, if you're not wanting to take on the almighty challenge of your seasonal character taking on that main climax mission on Master, you can at least bring in your powerful character to get it done. Great change, great addition, I agree with it, but I do think that's just been added because of the backlash. Moving on with what they've said, they said during this time, the seasonal character will be added to your roster, giving you the option to play the season's climax mission with either the seasonal character or your preferred main character. So that's just touching on what we just discussed. In Seasons 2.0, seasonal character progression is significantly sped up, allowing you to reach level 40 more quickly and gain shade levels at a faster rate. This progress will be shared with your main character at the start of the intermission. Expertise upgrades will not be available for seasonal characters. Instead, the Shade Watch bonuses will be increased to account for the missing power coming from expertise. Proficiency can still be earned by seasonal characters and will be merged at the end of the season. Please note that proficiency alone does not impact gameplay. Finally, as a seasonal character progresses to level 40, they will not have to complete the entire campaign again. Instead, they'll have the freedom to choose which content they experience without worrying about completing certain missions for specific unlocks. However, there's more to the upcoming changes than just transitioning to seasonal characters. We'll share with you detailed information by hosting a live Q&A sessions or PTS and during various live streams in the coming months to guide you through these changes. We also encourage you to explore Year 6 Season 1 First Rogue page, as it may answer some of your questions. I agree with that. I think lots of my questions were answered through that Year 6 Season 1 First Rogue. I personally felt it was quite obvious what they were doing, but a lot of people did miss the point. Again, the biggest complaints I had in between all of the negativity towards me last week was people did not want to be forced to start new characters and start again. That was never the case. I didn't see that being the case. It's not like I read comments saying you may as well just delete your characters now and start again. That's what Seasons 2.0 is. It's not. It's very evident it's not. They are literally just taking the seasons and revamping it. And I guess I do agree with the comments that you want to be able to do this with your main characters. They've now included that. You can, in a way, you can completely ignore the seasonal characters if you want now and just take part in the last 2 weeks and get everything done. done if that's what you want to do. If you're that against starting a new character to have a more engaging content, not a problem. Just carry on doing what you do now. Last 2 weeks of the season, get it all in then and just enjoy it with your main characters. So they've made that adjustment for you. And the other thing was, again, just starting again. People thought you were going to have to start the game again every season, get to level 40, do all the same old stuff. It's not the case. You are going to be getting like seasonal or weekly activities to do via a scout. These activities will be what help you progress. I imagine there'll be other stuff you can do, as they've just said in that article, that you can progress at your own rate with whatever activity you want to do. And it's going to be much quicker. It's not like it's going to take you a full length of like it would with your main character to get to level 40. It's going to be fast-tracked. And they actually discuss more about this in the Q&A. So let's just get to the Q&A and see what they say about that. So they had a lot of questions about the WONI expansion. So we'll go through these first. Is Warlords of New York expansion now free to new players? They said the Warlords of New York DLC continues to be paid content. The key change that came with the One Endgame update is that owning Warlords of New York is no longer a requirement to reach level 40 and access endgame content, such as gear modes, and manhunts. So the New York map and all that story, you're still going to purchase as the expansion. So what content remains locked behind the Warlords of New York expansion? As I just said, you've got the New York map, you've got the story missions, but also the skills as well that come with the expansion. They say playing legacy manhunt missions won't grant access to skill variants for repair trap, shrapnel trap, or EMP sticky. These skills are tied to specific bosses in the Warlords of New York expansion, and players must unlock the skill platform in Warlords of New York to use them. The only difference is the climax mission, where defeating Fei Lao and earning the Achilles Pulse skill variant will be accessible regardless of Warlords of New York ownership, providing you already have the Pulse unlocked through the main game. Next question is, will the New York map remain accessible for playing Legacy Manhunt? Players without ownership of Warlords of New York will not be able to access the Legacy Manhunt missions set in New York. If they attempt to fast travel to the climax location, they'll receive an in-game notification. So next was the seasonal and non-seasonal characters. There's lots of questions here that we're going to go through. We'll go through all of them. So will we be given extra stash space and or extra character slots? An additional character slot will be added to support Seasons 2.0 along with extra storage space. However, it is worth noting that no extra slots will be added for each individual season. I had a lot of questions about this one, and I thought, are they going to just keep on adding slots every season? Well, there's your answer. You're going to get one more character slot, basically. You'll have 5 slots. With the new season, you'll be able to take that slot up with your seasonal character. At the end of the season, that can turn into one of your main character slots, but then on the next season after that, you will have to make a decision on what characters to get rid of to start the new seasonal characters. So it's probably best just keeping one slot for seasonal characters all the time. And it answers that again in the next question. Do I need to delete a character when a new season starts when all my slots are occupied? The answer to that was, as additional slots will not be provided for each season, you will need to choose which character to retain in your main roster. Starting with Year 6 Season 2, you can have up to 5 characters. For instance, in the beginning of Year 6 Season 2, if you already have 4 characters, you can utilize the additional slot to add a 5th character for the season. However, if you have 5 characters at the end of Year 6 Season 2, you'll need to remove 1 character to make room for the new seasonal character, as I just explained. Next question, what is the point of keeping your main character if you can't use them for 90% of future content coming to the game? And this, as I've already mentioned in this video, is one of the biggest complaints from players, and I do think they're just reading it wrong. And I tried to explain this a bit more here. We have taken measures to ensure that both seasonal and non-seasonal characters have meaningful roles and cool things to do in the game. The current model reinforces the way a lot of players are using some characters as support for the main character at the account level. Seasonal characters serve a similar purpose. On top of facilitating an awesome experience in the season through manhunts and modifiers, additionally, seasonal characters also contribute to the overall account progression, which is represented through the power level of the main character. The main character remains the foundation of the account, enabling players to take on challenges at the highest power and difficulty levels. Furthermore, upcoming DLCs will present a chance to take on challenges with your primary character and its corresponding power level. Additionally, only non-seasonal characters will have access to legacy manhunts. So again, this kind of goes back to my video last week. Your main character is still going to be used for anything that you do now in that respect, whether you raid, whether you do legendary missions, whether you do PvP, whatever it is that you do on the game right now, you are still going to be able to do. The only bit you're not is going to be like the seasonal activities. But then I have to say, hand on heart, who enjoys the seasonal activities right now? We have the manhunt, we have the leagues, we have the global events. The global events are going to be staying. I imagine the leagues will too, if the global events are. They actually talk about this further down. But that's all. They're just taking that segment out. So anything you do now, and if you're not at that end game where you've done everything, you've still got your watch level to work on. You've still got your expertise to work on. You've still got any content to work on as well. If you've not done the raids yet, if you've not done the incursion yet, if you've not done the legendary yet, all this is still your main character, and your seasonal character is only going to help add more power to that as time goes. And as they said in that point there, any future content in terms of DLC will be for your main character. You're going to be taking that on with your main character, and I'm sure this is also going to stretch to any future content like raids, incursions, new legendary missions, or anything like that. So let's continue. The next question is, will there be any new content for the main non-seasonal characters? They say non-seasonal characters will continue to have access to all existing game content, including both Warlords of New York and the upcoming DLC. Right now, there are no intentions to introduce another incursion or raid. Now, this has been met with a lot of backlash, this statement. Just take point of the right now. Right now, there are no intentions to introduce another incursion or raid. Now, I know people want this. I want this. I was expecting this year, to be honest with you. I thought there would have been an incursion in year 6. But by then saying right now, what they mean is the current roadmap, so the year 6 roadmap that they've given us, will have none of this. So I wouldn't expect an incursion or a raid before the DLC. It's probably not going to happen with this statement. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen after that, though. If you watch back to Ubisoft Forward, what they said about year 6 was this is a transitional year. They're using this year to basically catch up the game to make it current. So this game is 5 years old. They're really putting work into it now, and they just want to work on the foundations because it is quite old and it's outdated. So they're trying to get those foundations right, and this year is transitioning to be prepared for future content. They did use those words. They're preparing the game for future content, and I think that's going to kick off with the DLC, which is why the DLC has been delayed before all this got done. So once all this is done and we get the DLC, I imagine there's going to be a year 7 roadmap, which will come out when the DLC comes out, I imagine. And that's when I probably expect things like potentially new raids or definitely new incursions. The next question says, will seasonal characters have access to their existing recalibration library? The recalibration library will be shared between seasonal and non-seasonal characters, the only exception being season-specific gear. During the season, you can transfer season-specific gear talents to the library, where they'll become available, or accessible rather, to your main character at the beginning of the intermission. Will seasonal characters be able to use the account-wide resources materials? Seasonal characters will have their own separate pool of shared resources and materials, which will not be shared with the non-seasonal characters pool. When I have all my inventory and stash maxed out, will I lose the loot after this season ends and the seasonal character is merged with my regular roster? They say once the season ends and intermission begins, you'll be awarded a temporary stash to facilitate the transition of the seasonal items to the main pool. It is up to you to decide what to keep and what to discard or deconstruct during that process. However, please note that starting from year 6 season 3, if you still have items in your temporary stash, you'll be unable to create a new seasonal character. How will my hardcore characters be impacted? At the start of each season, you'll have the option to select either a hardcore or regular seasonal character. I think this is great, by the way. I didn't even think about hardcore seasonal characters last week. But they say this choice provides the opportunity to add an additional hardcore character to your roster at the end of the season when the seasonal and main characters combine. Your existing hardcore character will retain its progression, which could be shared at the beginning of the intermission period, the final 2 weeks before the season concludes. So if you guys want to do this on hardcore, you can. And that's quite interesting. I don't know whether, I wish I had like an extra space so I could try and do a hardcore and non-hardcore seasonal character. That'd be really cool. I'm gonna have to look at my roster and see if I can get rid of somebody. Will seasonal characters have access to global events? Global events as they are right now will remain exclusive to non-seasonal characters due to their incompatibility with seasonal progression and modifiers in their current state. They'll adhere to the established rotational model already present in the game. Seasonal characters may eventually receive their own version of global events tailored to enhance the seasonal experience, but this implementation will occur at a later time. This bit got me because I assumed that with their modifiers and seasonal characters, they're probably just going to use the global events. So the fact that they're not doing this, I'm kind of like excited in a way, because what are these modifiers going to be? These modifiers will change every season to freshen it up a little bit, and it sounds like it's going to be in the form of something we've not seen yet. So that does excite me, and I think it's great that global events stay on the main. I said this last week, I assumed global events and the leagues and things like that would still stay on the main, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did that, and it looks like they are doing that. And further up on one of the other questions, they say your main character is still going to have access to all of the content that it does now. So I think things like global events, well, definitely global events, they've said it, but also like your leagues that you do, I think they're still going to stay on rotation each season. So I wouldn't worry too much about those. You're still going to be able to do them. Manhunt 2.0 is next. First question is, will the new master difficulty be any way available for non-seasonal characters? Yes, Climax Mission on master difficulty will be available for both seasonal and non-seasonal characters during the intermission, a 2-week period between the seasons. Why tie the Manhunt to seasonal characters' participation? In Seasons 2.0, the optimal way to experience the story is through the seasonal structure, utilizing a character with the appropriate power level to capitalize on features such as gameplay modifiers and seasonal items. The story will be adjusted to accommodate this new dynamic, with multiple agents fulfilling their roles throughout the season. Moreover, after the season ends, players can opt for the Climax Mission using their seasonal or primary character. I just want to talk about this Climax Mission now, because this is what this is all about. I think this could be the hidden gem of Seasons 2.0. They're putting a lot of work into this, and the Climax Mission for the last few seasons has been the biggest point of it. That's been the thing we've most looked forward to, playing that Climax Mission, right? So they're putting a lot of work into this now, and the fact that you can complete it on normal and then unlock a master version of it, and they said that the master version is tailored for 4-player squads. This tells me there's going to be some very challenging content. You'll be able to complete the Climax Mission if you're just a solo player and quite casual, but for those people that are really into this game, that sounds to me like that is going to be some challenge at the end of every season for you and your squad to complete. When they target things for 4 players, I'm thinking something like Incursion. This isn't going to be an Incursion, but maybe it's like in between like main mission and Incursion. We're going to be playing probably the same mission again, which is going to be reworked, but it's going to be tailored for a 4-person team at master difficulty. It's going to be super challenging. So think of this as extra content each season. That's where my mind's at. I'm excited to see what these Climax missions are going to be. I'm excited to see why they're going to be master difficulty, what they're going to do to make it master, and why am I going to need a squad of 4 to take it on. It sounds like a challenge. I'm all for that. And for the people asking for new content, they want something fresh, although not entirely new. I do think this is going to be very fresh and a great challenge for you. It sounds that way anyway. Moving on to the next section is Seasonal Journey. What will Seasons 2.0 consist of? There are 15 weeks of varied activities such as seasonal missions, seasonal projects, Manhunt scouts, and priority objectives to be completed with your seasonal character, followed by a 2-week intermission period during which you can utilize your main character. Your non-seasonal character can be accessed at any time during the season, but with no access to seasonal content except for the 2 weeks intermission. Approximately how long is the accelerated grind to level 40 expected to take? They say non-seasonal characters will require approximately 45 hours to complete. So that's now. So if you were to start a new character now to get to level 40, it'd take about 45 hours, they say. While seasonal characters are expected to take around 15 hours for the same activities. That's a huge drop. And if you are quite hardcore on this game, you know that 45 hours is far beyond what you'd spend getting a new character now from 0 to 40. Like, we can do that very quickly, even without cheesing it. You can get some help from a friend. You can steamroll for the game if you need to. I'd knock that 45 hours down to, I'm going to say like 12 hours if I really was pushing it. We've done challenges on 24-hour streams before where we've started new characters, had to get to level 40 and complete both raids, all within 24 hours. And we've done that. So 45 hours is a marker that I think if you're just playing the game properly with no help from others and taking it at a very sort of normal pace, that can be a lot quicker. And I imagine the 15 hours for the seasonal characters could probably be a lot quicker too, thinking along those lines. Next question. Will the seasonal grind to level 40 consist of the same current activities, or will it be different each season? To reach level 40, the seasonal journey will act as a guide, providing simple and quick challenges that offer great completion rewards, while also aiding the player through unlocking key game systems. Additionally, at every point, players can complete a variety of other activities in the game and increase progression rate. Each season will feature unique seasonal modifiers that affect both players and enemy NPCs, providing a different experience in previously played content. Will the seasonal story beats be introduced during the level 1 to 40 grind, or will players need to reach level 40 to experience them? The updated seasonal journey in Year 6 Season 2 will allow all players the opportunity to experience the story irrespective of their level. In other words, new story content is no longer locked behind level 40 characters. Will players have to reach level 40 to start collecting season rewards? Seasonal rewards are not restricted to level 40. Various rewards unlocked through the seasonal journey, season pass, and other in-game systems are granted while leveling from 1 to 40. The Manhunt story will also gradually unfold through collectibles, allowing players to progress step by step. What happens with seasonal collectibles? During the intermission period, which occurs in the final 2 weeks before the end of the season, all rewards obtained with the seasonal character, such as shade levels, proficiency ranks, stash items, and collectibles, will be transferred to your main character. Will we get access to the Shade Watch? In Seasons 2.0, seasonal character progression is significantly sped up, allowing you to reach level 40 more quickly and gain shade levels at a faster rate. This progress will be shared with your main character at the end of the season. However, fast progression will only be possible up until a certain level. Upon reaching it, the Shade Watch progression will resume at a normal speed. I like the sounds of this. Like, there's gonna be a point where it does go back to normal, but you're gonna get additional watch levels at a faster pace for doing seasonal characters, and I like that, especially because I've moved to PC now and I'm well behind my PlayStation. This is gonna help with all of that, but I do like that they've done that. Why can't my existing level 40 character engage in seasonal content? They say the main objective of Seasons 2.0 is to ensure that all players can participate in endgame content on a level playing field, as well as allowing us to fine-tune the experience based on more controlled progression. Additionally, modifiers and season resets provide levers to ramp up gameplay challenges far beyond what any permanent mechanics would allow, thus avoiding long-term consequences. I again spoke about this in my last video. These modifiers are gonna hopefully make the game much more fun and just give us a way of refreshing current content. Rather than just doing the same thing all the time, we're gonna have these modifiers that really spruce it up and make things spicy, you know? And this is going to change every season, and because it's on a separate server to the main server, they're free to do whatever they want. You know, they can really change things up and make this content as fun as they can. And that's what I'm expecting. It's what I've expected from when I first read this. And yeah, I think it's a great move. What they're saying is, if they were to, what they want to do, if they were to try and implement this with the main current structure, they just couldn't, because it just changed things up too much. It really, like, one of the complaints is, don't force me to play the game how you want me to. And if they were to put all this on the current structure, that's exactly what they'd be doing. They'd be changing the way you play. They'd be forcing you to play the game potentially how you don't want to. And that complaint kind of like conflicts with what they're doing, because they're taking all their ideas and these modifiers and everything they're thinking about doing, they're taking away from your main character so you can still play the game how you want. Just have a think about that, because it is one of the complaints that pops up, and like I say, kind of conflicts. I feel like they are letting you play the game how you want, and with all their testing, what they're doing with seasonal characters, you know, if you really don't like it, you don't have to do it. And that's letting you play the game how you want, in my opinion. So moving on to PvP. How will the introduction of seasonal characters affect the PvP? Seasonal characters will only be available to matchmake with other seasonal characters at an appropriate power level, accounting for the level playing field the seasonal reset brings. I like this. I mentioned this again. I said, imagine a Dark Zone or PvP where everybody's on a level playing field. This excites me a lot, and if I don't really PvP on the Division 2 because I just don't like it. It's nowhere near what the Division 1 was, and I think this alone could make me just step foot in there and see what it's about. It excites me. I like it. I might PvP on my seasonal character. We'll have to check it out. Will modifiers work both in PvE and PvP? They say modifiers are PvE exclusive. They don't go on there though. You'll notice in the current game, whenever they do global events or anything like that, it's never able to affect like countdown game mode, the descent game mode, raids, the incursion. These are all like separate activities that are never affected. The way they just say modifiers are PvE exclusive, it's got me thinking, will these modifiers also be active on raids, incursions, and the stuff we can't change now? I hope they are. I don't know. The fact that they've not mentioned it there is got me a little bit hyped about that. I really hope that when we get these seasonal characters with all these changes, we can then go into the raids with them as well. I don't know. I'm maybe thinking too deep. Maybe raids and things like that won't be affected, but they do say PvE exclusive and raids are PvE. Will seasonal characters have a separate DZ? Yes, DZ pools are separate between seasonal and non-seasonal. Finally, the last segment, multiplayer and matchmaking. How will matchmaking change the introduction of seasonal characters? Seasonal characters will only be able to matchmake with other seasonal characters at the appropriate power level, accounting for the level playing field this seasonal reset brings. How do you plan to balance seasonal and non-seasonal instances? If old gear aligns with a seasonal theme, we may rebalance and revamp it. Any changes that are deemed appropriate will also be applied to non-seasonal gear. Our aim is to maintain a balance between seasonal modifiers and seasonal gear. We encourage players to find powerful builds each season. And that was everything that they shared in their post yesterday. They must have felt forced to get more information out with the backlash and the mixed reactions that Seasons 2.0 got. I feel that really does clearly explain what Seasons 2.0 is. But I'm still seeing a lot of people not happy about this. Now, as I said at the start of the video, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Now, people are going to like this idea. People are not going to like this idea. The only thing I want to encourage everybody to do is just before you judge it, try it. We can have our opinions. You can tell I'm quite hyped by this. I am excited. I was excited when they announced it. I kind of got what they were saying. This document they put out yesterday is just further cemented my belief in what they were saying. And I think this could be a hugely positive adjustment to the game. As I've already mentioned, being able to freshen up current content to make that more rewarding, immersive, fun, give me more reason to play the current content, I think that can only be a good thing. And then bringing in more content down the line on top of that is a must. And we know that's coming. We got the DLC. If there's no DLC in the works, I will be a little bit worried. But the fact that we know there's a DLC coming, we know there's future content. And they've actually stated this is a transition year to be ready for that future content. I think we just need a little bit of patience for that. I do hear you. We want new incursions. We want new raids. We want new maps. We want new missions. We know the new maps coming. We know the new story missions are coming. We don't know new incursions are coming, but we can assume that. Raids, I don't know. I think they gave up on raids years ago, but we'll see. But I think we know this new, fresh content is coming, but it's going to be year 7. We just got to wait a little bit for now. We just got to give them time to do what they want to do with the core of the game. And rather than judge it now, judge it once you've played it. It's my only advice that I've got for you. Obviously, share your opinion, debate your opinion. This is all healthy, but please stop attacking people that are positive about it. If someone's positive, there's no reason to attack it. Stop calling them out. Just because someone's got a positive opinion, there's no lesser value than your opinion. Have healthy discussion about this. I look forward to what you put in the comments. Please be kind, and I'll discuss it with you. I'm quite hyped. I'm glad they put this out yesterday. It does offer more clarification, I think. And I can't wait to get this going. I really wish we could just fast forward a couple of months to see this now. But there is going to be some more communication from now until then. And we're going to find out much more. So until then, thank you for watching this long video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe for more content. Come and check out our fantastic Discord. And until next time, take care and peace out.